Shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS that rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to all the brothers out there pushing His word of sincerity and the truth. Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children out there keeping His word of sincerity and the truth. Okay, I just wanted to go into a quick lesson. Going into how don't be surprised, or don't be alarmed about the fiery trials that come to try you, especially being in these last days. This is what we have been built up for. This is what we've been getting constantly prepared for. For when things come our way, we rely on Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, and each time a situation come to pass or each time a situation come your way, it's to build you up. And also it can be used as a test to see where you are, to see how much you trust in the Lord. Because the time of testing is it's coming to the whole earth. And it's going to try everybody. And those who haven't been getting built up, Israelites who haven't been getting built up and taking this thing seriously, it's going to show. It's going to be exposed to everybody. Not just the whole world, but the whole heavens. All Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, the angels, they all going to see it. They're going to see your outcome of when you had liberty, you loathed the law of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah. But simultaneously, the elect will shine too, because we are the hopeful elect, but the elect is going to be tried and they're going to be proven, tried, tested, and proven. So our trials that we go through now, don't think it nothing strange when something happened to you. And I just want to give my own little personal testimony, which is nothing uncommon to man. It's something that we all go through. But I'm getting off the exit to get on the main road to get to my house. And the exit that I'm on, it has a left and a right. You can go left or you can go right. So it's a three-way. And I'm coming down. It's one stop sign though. So the exit where I'm at, you got to stop. And now it's Esau. Two Edomites parked in a police car facing my direction, which I wasn't even paying attention to them because I'm watching the left because I need to turn right. So it was a car in front of me. They came to a rolling stop and went. They didn't stop at all. They didn't bring the car to a complete stop before they went. Now, granted, I didn't either, but I looked to the left to see how far the cars were down because it was an SUV beside me, and you can't look past the SUV at that spot, or any vehicle that's larger than yours. You can't see past that vehicle at that spot. So either you can stop and ease on out there before you go, or you just gotta go if ain't nothing coming. And in my situation, I was able to see past the SUV right before it got all the way to the end and see how far down the cars were. They was all the way back. They was all the way down. So I was clear to go. I didn't come to a complete stop, but I eased out there before I just went to make sure that I wasn't tripping. But I did kind of go. I didn't come to a stop. So it was a rolling stop. And I went on just like the car ahead of me. And then I went past the Edomites. I wasn't even thinking nothing of them. But then I seen them whip around. And I already knew what time it was. But it was a truck behind me, too. So I was like, okay. Well, it was a truck on the other lane of it. It was, in the other lane, in the right lane. I got in the left lane. So once the Edomite whipped around, they turned the lights on. So I'm thinking to myself, and they got in my lane. So, I'm like, okay, let me get over to the right lane and get kind of in front of the truck. So to see if they trying to go past me or not, just to test. And the truck kind of slowed down because I think he knew they was coming after me too, which I knew they was coming. And so they got behind me. So I was like, okay, fuck, let me go and pull over. I already know what time it is. And I'm thinking that they finna get me because in my car, I have to switch it back to daylight saving time. And I'm looking at the time and it was showing 4:47. I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, like, because I wasn't thinking daylight saving time. So I was trying to make sure. So when I was passing by the cop, I just pulled my phone up to check to make sure the time wasn't 4 and put it down. And that's what I thought they was giving me for thinking that I was on the phone, because I was going to clearly show them that I was checking the time. But they got me for that light. I mean, the stop sign. So, Esau, it was two Edomites. a young one. I think he was an older one, but the young one was the one that was handling everything. Came up to the window, you know what they do, ask for the license and registrations. Now, I don't have no clean record. Got a clean record, they ain't got nothing on me because I don't be doing nothing. But Edomite wound up giving me a ticket anyway, just to really be an asshole, because he could have just let me go. All the cars that was coming were far down, nowhere near where I was at. Even though I did do a rolling stop, then come to a complete stop. Esau was just being an asshole, and I'm thinking to myself, because he mentioned it. He said the car in front of me, just because the car in front of you go, doesn't mean you go too. And I'm thinking to myself, well, the car in front of me didn't stop. It kept going. It did exactly what I did, but you got me for it. But everything is set up through the spirit, So, and of course, we are to apply the scriptures, because you can just think about it. A lot of Israelites have lost their lives, or they put themselves in a worse situation because they either didn't apply or they didn't know the scriptures. They didn't know what to do. And they felt like knowing their rights, which there's nothing wrong with knowing your rights, but they feel like knowing their rights and trying to argue with the cop is gonna make them get them out of the situation. But this is Matthew 5:25. This just applies to this situation. It says, agree with thine adversary quickly, whilst thou art in the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast into prison. And a lot of Israelites have met this fate because they didn't apply the scriptures, And there's many other ways that you can use to get out of situations. Sometimes you might have to just take the L, because it's better to be humble and apply the scriptures rather than try to be in the mindset of like, man, I'm not going to let these white folks do me like this or do me like that. And in certain situations, you might have to, but not every situation. You have to be able to judge the situations. And that's what wisdom, knowledge, and understanding has brought us to be judges. It's taught us how to be judges again. Not only just judging the nations, but judging our people, but judging our own situations. Because it's not going to be a situation where it's not every time you're not going to be around brothers. You're going to have to be able to judge the situation to know what you need to do in that specific situation. And ultimately, the Lord is going to be with you. And I did pray. I prayed to the Lord before they walked up, because, you never know what these Edomites be on. And, you getting off work, so you ain't expecting nothing. But like I said, verse 26, verily I say unto thee, thou shalt be by no means come out thence till thou hast paid the uttermost farthing. So basically saying they'll lock you up and they won't let you out till you pay whatever it is that they tell you to pay, And that situation could go like that, because it has went like that for a lot of Israelites, where they don't know the scriptures. They don't have wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua ain't with them. So now they just get into all type of situations, making bad decisions. And a lot of those decisions cost them their lives. But we apply the scriptures, and it could be at a later time. I don't even have to pay it, The Lord might allow it to get thrown out, and I ain't even got to worry about it, But applying the scriptures is crucial. Now, let me get James chapter 2. It might be chapter 1. Yeah, this is James chapter 1, verse 2. I'm reading the AMP. Consider it nothing but joy, my brothers and sisters, when you fall into various trials or diverse temptations in the KJV. Be assured that the testing of your faith through experience produces endurance, leading to spiritual maturity and inner peace. Right, so what he's saying is the continual testing of your faith and you gaining experience through this and knowing that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is faithful. If you apply the scriptures that he tell you in these various situations, each scripture, each sound doctrine, sound advice that the scriptures give us and apply it through, to whatever situation, whatever's, what's needed in that situation, it's gonna boost your faith, and that's the point. Like, that's why I said spiritual maturity and inner peace. You're going to learn how to maneuver through this world spiritually without giving into carnality, because a lot of Israelites gave into carnality. And like I said, a lot of Israelites are not on the earth now because they didn't know how to apply the scriptures. Verse 4, and let endurance or patience have its perfect result, and do a thorough work, so that you may be perfect and completely developed in your faith, lacking in nothing. Right. So, like he said, this is a process that's needed to bring you to the version of yourself that can move spiritually mature throughout all the situations you might find yourself in, so that you don't get or so that we don't experience outcomes that could have been avoided, because like I said, it could have went south. I could have did this or did that. And I'm already seeing what these Edomites on. First of all, it's two of y'all coming out of a police car for somebody that's, ran or like they said running the stop sign. Two of y'all coming out of the car for somebody that's doing that, And then on top of them, an Israelite, Southern Kingdom, so-called black man. So you never know what Esau on. And he was probably looking to try any Israelite that he can get his hands on, just so it can fulfill his lust, probably his bloodlust or feel his ego of getting over on Jacob, but not giving into any type of emotions or reactions or carnality that they can't, because sometimes they be wanting to provoke you. They be wanting to provoke you so that they can handle you how they want to handle you. But they can't do this with the men of the Lord, because like I said, I don't know if the car that was in front of me, if there was a Edomite, or any other nations. Mainly in this area, it'd be a lot of Edomites and Jake, Southern Kingdom, and it'd be some of the Northern Kingdom, Issachar. But for the most part, it's either Edomites or Jake. And if it was an Israelite in the car ahead of me, they would have got them before they got me. So 9 times out of 10, it probably was an Edomite. They let them go, and they see the Israelite. That's who they got. But what these Edomites don't know is, for one, messing with Israelites and all this evil they've been doing to Jake, they're going to pay for it. But on a whole nother thing, you chose to get an Israelite, and the Lord controls, he controls it all, but you chose to get an Israelite in the truth, of the hopeful elect, and Lord willing of the elect. That's who you chose to stop in that situation. So that makes your judgment even 10 times worse, or 1,000 times worse, because like I said, my record clean. You could have easily just let me off with a warning, You could have easily just let me go, but we already know how our enemies are. They ain't gonna let you go, So it says, I'm gonna read verse 5. If any of you lacks wisdom to guide him through a decision or circumstance, he is to ask of our benevolent God, who gives to everyone generously and without rebuke or blame, and it will be given to him. So like he said, if you lack wisdom to guide him through a decision or circumstance, if you need wisdom and understanding on how to deal with a certain situation, ask for it. The Lord is going to give it to you. He's going to explain it to you. He's going to show it to you in whatever fashion that he want to do it for you. But he got you. He ain't going to let you just fall. The Lord he's going to take care of you. He's going to make sure that you are good. But you have to act. Well, I'm going to keep going. It says, but he must ask for wisdom and faith without doubting. The Most High is willing to help. For the one who doubts is like a billowing surge of the sea that is blown and tossed by the wind. Meaning, if you ask for the Lord, don't just be like, man, the Lord, you ask for it and then, you ain't thinking that the Lord going to come through, or he taking too long. So now you trying to find your own way handle the situation, and you going about it in a carnal way instead of being spiritual and being patient. Verse 7, for such a person ought not to think or expect that he will receive anything at all from the Lord, being a double-minded man, unstable and restless in all his ways, in everything he thinks, feels, or decides. See? Don't let your emotions and your lack of patience cause you to do something or to doubt the Lord. Anybody in this world, you don't like nobody that doubts you. You tell them like, I got you, but then they don't believe you, you know? Or you try to tell somebody the truth, but they don't believe you. That eventually starts making you aggravated. Because you like, I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you what I got you. I'm telling you I'm going to come through for you, but they don't believe you. Let me get another one. Sirach chapter 2, verse 1. My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. Set thy heart aright and constantly endure, and make not haste in time of trouble. Make not haste meaning don't act carnally because some type of situation arose that you have to deal with and it's uncomfortable. It's something that you don't want to deal with. Don't give into carnality or get so afraid that you stop believing. It said, make not haste in time of trouble. It says, cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy at last end. So cleave unto Yahweh by Shem Yahushua, meaning stick to the script. Stick to the script, Stick to what the scriptures say, In certain situations, you might be dealing with the situations, but you got to always have Yahweh by Shem Yahushua in your mind. And see, wisdom and knowledge is what's going to keep us stable. And this was, these situations, ain't uncommon to man. Let me get that real quick. I don't know how. Let's see, overtaking. Look at how it's worded. It's uncommon to man. It's how is it worded? One second. Okay, here it is. Here it is. Call out Yahweh Shem Yahushua. This is 1 Corinthians 10-13. I'm reading the AMP. No temptation, regardless of its source, has overtaken or enticed you that is not common to human experience, nor is any temptation unusual or beyond human resistance. But the Most High is faithful to his word. He is compassionate and trustworthy, and he will not let you be tempted beyond your ability to resist. But along with the temptation, he has in the past and is now and will always provide the way out as well, so that you will be able to endure it without yielding and will overcome temptation with joy. So like you said, look, there's nothing that happens to man that's not common. Meaning it's something strange happened to you that ain't nobody else experienced. So can't nobody else counsel you on how to help you, or the scriptures don't have no type of guide on, like, that's not the case. Everything that happens, somebody else has experienced it. And more importantly, somebody else in this truth has experienced it and can give you wise counsel on it. But ultimately, these scriptures is what's giving you the wise counsel, and it's teaching you. Well, let me go and get this while I got it on my mind. It's Isaiah 33:6. And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. The fear of Yahweh by Shem Yahushua is his treasure. And ultimately, this is going to apply the most during the time of Jacob's trouble, when Jacob's trouble intensifies to a level never before seen on this earth. But this also applies to the very situations that you find yourself in from day to day, And just like me, getting pulled over, which I'm pretty sure is probably another brother somewhere in the world right now today experiencing the same thing, but applying the same thing, wisdom and knowledge, to get them out of the situation that they in, and the Lord will take care of the rest, ain't nobody worried about that. Whether you pay it, whether they get thrown out, ain't nobody worried about it. The Lord controls everything. He'll take care of it however he see fit, But going back to Sirach 2 and 3, cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end. Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient when thou art changed to a low estate. For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. So, like I said, look, we have to constantly be refined. We have to constantly be tested, because each and every time those impurities get purged out of us more and more. And it's a faith booster. It increases your faith, because even though just think about it spiritually, even though, each brother and sister get put in their own situations, just using mine for an example, even though I got put in a situation where I got a ticket and got to pay it, or however it may happen. Well, I just say I got a ticket. Yeah, I got put in a situation where I got a ticket. The Lord could have just went to see. He could have put me in that particular situation just to see how I was going to handle it, just to see if I was going to apply the scriptures, just to see if I was going to react carnally, or not trust in him and move fearfully, or whatever the case may be. And then see how I handle, the next couple of days or weeks, still having it until the time either I pay it beforehand or however it gets taken care of. But regardless of the fact, the Lord could have just put that in my way just to see how I would react or how I would behave. Because, and like I said, it's all a faith booster. The Lord can do something like this and then turn around and create, make a miracle. Ain't no telling. But regardless of the fact or regardless of the situation, applying the scriptures is the best method, and not moving out of carnality. Being spiritually minded always, every day, always. Before you go to sleep, when you wake up in the morning, because when situations happen, you don't never, when you wake up in the morning, well, at any time of the day, but I say when you wake up in the morning, you don't think about nothing happening towards the latter portion of the day. And when you go to sleep at night, you don't think about nothing happening overnight while you sleep, So we have to continually to apply these scriptures, rely on Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi, stay prayed up, and keep the faith and continue to increase, and whatever you lack, or if you need guidance or help, pray to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi and don't doubt, like the scriptures say. So on that note, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS that rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to all the brothers out there pushing this word of sincerity and the truth. Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children out there keeping this word of sincerity and the truth. Until next time, shalom.